Okay, hello everybody. As we promised, we will come back with a course on web development, right? Which is front-end development also. So here we are. I'm back with one of our most demanded course, which is on web development. And that is what we are going to do in this video. We are going to introduce you to web development, the web development architecture, and we are going to discuss a lot about these web development things in this video. So if you're a fresher, if you're a beginner, and if your friends are also beginner, please call them in this particular session and tell them that this particular session is going on. They'll get an idea how to get started with web development. What are the myths and facts which should be known to you before you are getting started with any particular language or before creating any website, correct? So, okay, let's get started. But before that, let me introduce you to you. So my name is Ritwik Raj. I'm a corporate trainer. I'm also a content strategist. I've also worked as a subject matter expert, and I have trained many of the young graduates and corporate employees. I have 3+ years of teaching experience, and I've trained more than 25K students in my whole 3.5 years of experience. Okay, so what all subjects I took? I have taken front-end development, back-end languages, database languages like SQL, MongoDB, and other. And also, I do tell some very interesting facts about interview preparations so that you will be able to crack an interview just in one go. Not in one go, but yeah, you have to, have a habit of getting on rejections, right? If you don't get rejected, you won't be able to get placed in a better company, right? So perfect. Let's get started. This particular session will tell you more about web development. Now, before moving into these things, I have something to discuss beforehand. So here is our product, which is Relevel by Unacademy. Now, what is this? Let me tell you. See, if you're a fresher or a beginner, basically what happens, you guys can be or maybe are from tier 3 college or some other college where companies are not looking up for employees or looking up for candidates, right? So the companies are not coming there in your colleges, and you're going to not getting much opportunities for yourself, right? So here what happens, Relevel doesn't look upon the degree or whatever connections you have or whatever community you are in, coding community you are in. No, it does checks on your skills and talent. If you have the skill and talent, you will be able to get a profile, and we will be providing you companies so that you can get hired. Now let's talk about in detail what is it. So candidates miss out on great opportunities due to multiple reasons. It can be a better degree, it can be poor network in LinkedIn or any other platforms. Your resume doesn't stand out because several hundred or thousand people are also there like you, right? And you have applied for 50 to 60 companies, but still you're not getting a response back from them. So what Relevel will do, Relevel is India's first tech test hiring platform by Unacademy, which is helping job seekers finding their dream jobs. So what here will happen, we will check your skill and talent and not your college or degree, right? So no matter which particular degree you have, BTech, BBA, whatever degree you have, if you have the skill and talent, you're good to go. Now, what all benefits do we get from Relevel? Basically, over 50+ companies are there. Many of the startups are there, like Upgrad and all. And then thousands of job opportunity positions are there for business development executive and front-end development, back-end development. What you have to do? You have to give a free test. Yes, it is free. No, nothing, no cost. And when you finish the test, you'll get a result. If you score more than 700 marks, you will be able to qualify for a perfect profile for you, and that profile will go to all other companies and you'll get hired. But if you get less than 700, obviously you will fail, but after 30 days you can reattempt this test. So after every 30 days you can reattempt this test. How cool is it, right? And with Relevel, you are in a unique position to invite interest from companies instead of hunting and for opportunities on your own. So you don't have to do it all by own, but we will help you getting into a good company. What you have to do for registration, you have to just go to the link which is there in the video description. If you go to this video description, you can find the link of Relevel. Once you click on that, you'll be able to get in the website. You have to register yourself. You have to select the test which you want to give. So you want to give a business development test, front-end development test, or back-end development test. Click on that and then select the date, select the time, and once you're done with that, you have to create a neat video resume for yourself. Once you create a neat video resume, online video resume, we will check on it. We will see how it works and how you are saying, how is your behavior and all those things. And once you click submit, you're confirming for the slots of the test, give the test, get a score, done, right? So this easy, and this was the whole process of registration. So don't wait, go ahead in the description of this video, check out the link, click on it and do it right away. I'll wait for 1 minute for you, just do it, right? You can do it later on after this video also, there's no hurry. Okay, great. So we have discussed about Relevel, we have discussed about myself, what am I doing, and now is the time that we should tell you about the main agenda of this video, right, which is web development. Now if you're liking this session, if you're loving this session, if you're liking the energy, please hit like. If not, wait for some time, wait for half an hour, have a look if you're understanding or not the architecture and other things which I'm gonna say, and some interesting facts also I'm going to speak. So be seated, sit back, relax, and just listen to me, whatever is there. Bonus point, there's no PPT, there's no slide deck. I'm not going to just show you some things which is just copied from somewhere, right? So I'll be showing you the 3.5 year of experience which I have. I'm going to share that with you. That's it. Okay. So there's no PPT, nothing, and just sit back and relax. Listen to me. Also, if you are liking the session, like it and subscribe the channel, subscribe the CodeBeyond channel. You will be getting notifications of my particular videos every day, and you can learn all this web development things in just one go, right? So there is a Telegram channel also. You can click on this particular link, which is given in the description also. So you can click on it, join the Telegram channel. There are a lot of students there. You can discuss, you can we'll be sharing some of the more details also, and you'll be able to get access of all of those. Cool, right? Perfect. So everything is done. Now let's talk about the main funda, the main agenda of this session, which is introduction to web development. Okay, so let me be very frank with you. You can be in second year, you can be in third year, you can be in fourth year, right? I don't care. I care only about your skills. Now, there are several languages in the market. If you're from CS background or if you're from any other IT background, you must be knowing there are a lot of several languages, right? I have a question for you. Just tell me that whether you should go ahead and learn all the languages, or you should just pick one language of your choice, of your interest, and then master it, right? This is one question which I'm giving it to you. You can think about it. I'll come to this particular question later on after 15 minutes, and many of you must be thinking about the answers as well right away. But yeah, after 15 minutes I'll come back to this particular question. The question is whether you should learn all the languages at one go, or maybe line by line, like first you do C++, Java, Python, or you should just directly jump to Python, take Python and build a career on it, right? So answer this in your mind and we'll be coming back to this. Okay, now let's start with web development. Now what is this web development? Now see, when you talk about web development, this word web, right, is used in many places. So there's web browser, there is website, right? And there are a lot of places as well, but I'm not going to discuss that. I'm going to just use these two. Now, what is this web browser and website? Obviously, if you are in a college, or let's say that you have just passed 12th class, right? And you're just a beginner, you don't know anything about this coding and all. So what is the web browser? You must be knowing about this, right? We are using Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, Internet Explorer. Internet Explorer we are not using now, but yeah, those all are nothing but web browsers, right? What is website? The sites or any particular URL which we run it in the web browser, correct? That is what is nothing but website, correct? It can be google.com, it can be facebook.com, instagram.com, youtube.com, anything, right? So there's a difference between these two. Yes or no? The difference between these two. But is there anything in common? Yes, there is in common. Website runs into the web browser, right? Websites, all the websites run in this web browser, correct? Now, why is that? This is the first question which you should answer, or you should question yourself, why all the websites are running into this web browser. Correct? Okay, now let's understand. Websites are some URLs which you put it in the web browser, and when you hit enter, the whole web page comes in, right? And you'll be able to access everything inside that. Let's talk about google.com. What happens when I type this google.com in my web browser address? So I suppose that this is a website or a URL which goes somewhere, tells something that user is requesting a particular page of google.com. Should I give it to them or not? This person says that, hey, give it to them. And the whole web page comes back and we can see the page, right? This page is called as web page. Okay, this page is called as web page. So now we have one more term related to web, which is web page. What is web page? The whole page which you can see. Let me show you how does this look like. So if I go here you can see what is happening, right? You have here the browser, which is a Chrome browser. If you look down, there's a Chrome browser, and then there's a google.com, right? Here we can type google.com, and then this is the web page. The whole white background, this is which you can see, this is whole the web page. So web browser is the Chrome browser, website is nothing but www.google.com, and the web page is nothing but the page which you can see from here, right? Let's come back. So now we have understood these three terms: website, web browser, web page. But again, we have not understood that who is this person? Who is in the backend that is telling that when to give google.com and when not to give? Because sometimes when you type www.google.com, pages don't appear. It just says that internet is not connected or 404 error. Some error comes in, right? But sometimes, most of the times, google.com does appear. The web page comes in, right? There can be many reasons, right? Let's talk about that. The first thing was the website and the web page. The second thing is the internet. What is this internet? You all know very well that what is internet, right? You connect it with your device and you'll be able to access anything around the world, right? You can ask Google anything, you can serve social networking websites, and you can also play games using internet. Anything is happening using this internet. Even this live session, even this video is also happening using internet, correct? So what is this? What is the role of this internet? Now you must be knowing that Wi-Fi, or you can say Li-Fi, right? These things are nothing but the connection which is happening around the world. Now where is this connection? The wires, where are the wires? The wires are beneath us, right? Just below us in the ground. Some are in the oceans also, and everything is connected. You must be thinking that we are living in India, and then some people in USA, we are connecting. How? Right? It's connecting because of wires. Obviously we have the oceans, and beneath the oceans, inside the ocean, you have long Wi-Fi cables, right? And that is how this whole world is connected. If you want to get an idea of it, you go to Google, type Wi-Fi cables, or just write beneath the ocean cables, something like that, and you will be able to see some images where you will see those cables in under the ocean. Now what is that? That is providing us the internet, the capability to connect with all of us, right? Now once you hit www.google.com, it goes to the server. Okay, what is this server? The server is something like your system. Okay, your system, your laptop is a system where you have the CPU and other things. It works, right? You give them 4 plus 3, it solves it and gives you 7, correct? This is how a server also works. Server is used to keep some vital informations, right? So it used to keep some vital informations of yours, and then it serves as a request and a response. So what happens basically here is server is keeping all those vital information. Keep this thing in your mind. As we move to the architecture, I'll tell you what this server does. So server keeps all this information within them, and it does request and response. So it does request and response. What is this request and response? Request is when the request goes to the server. Response is when it comes back. That's it. Very easy. Architecture, when we come to architecture, we will see what is the meaning of this. Okay, let's talk about the third thing. So we have the website URL, we have the internet. Now what we need? So I think when we hit www.google.com, request comes to the server. Server tells that, okay, user is wanting www.google.com. I'll give it to him. Server sends a response and google.com comes in. But do you think it's that easy? Where is the web page created? This web page which is showing it to you, has it created by the god or somebody has created it, right? So who has created this web page? This web page has to be designed, right? This web page has to be customized. This web page has to be appearing in that manner that user will like it, user will love it, so that every time you open google.com you feel like, okay, now I can search anything here, right? So how do we create this web page? That is the third thing. So these are the three things which you need when you are learning web development. Now stop this video. If you are interested in this kind of discussions, if you're interested in how this website is building, how this internet is working, what is this server, how this particular request is going, which even I can't see from my eyes, right? I'm just typing www.google.com and it's coming. If these things excites you, continue this video. Otherwise, you have a different interest, right? So this is the fact. Okay, I'm not going to tell you that, hey, please watch my videos and keep on going learning. This is not the thing. If you're interested in this particular domain, if you're interested in website designing or all of these things, then only sit back and complete the whole course, because I'm going to teach you all of the things from the starting of 1.2 second and the third, everything. Okay, mostly we will have a discussion on the third one. Okay, so from the starting till the end, everything we'll discuss. You will understand how this website is created, how to deploy it, how public can use it, how you can create a whole website and then you can put it for public to use, all those things. So if this excites you, then only continue to watch this video, right? Perfect. Also, if you're interested, if you want to look for more topics, stick to this video, watch some more concepts which I'm going to teach, and then you can decide. Okay, so this is what is we need to understand web development. But again, this is not that much, right? Let's understand what else we need. Okay, so let's understand in this manner. Let's say that you want to open youtube.com, right? This is your laptop screen, right? This is your laptop screen and you want to open youtube.com YT. Let's write YT. Now, once you're hitting www.youtube.com and you're hitting enter, some request goes to the server. Okay, this server, let's name it as server here. Let's talk about this server a little bit more in detail. This server can be physical, this server can be virtual. Okay, that means this server you can touch it also, or it can be physical, like in cloud. Okay, cloud is what? Cloud is a very big database which can be used to store any or everything, and it is also used to store vital information as well. Okay, so that is what is cloud. But servers can be physical, can be virtual. For an example, you must have seen in your office or in your college itself, you must be having a server room. Okay, one room will be there where inside that only servers are there, and there will be multiple wires coming out of those servers. Those servers is nothing but a thin box which is having different ports. The ports are connected with the wires, and those ports or those wires are connected with your systems or all your systems across your college building, right? So those servers are making sure that every system is running on the same server and is accessible to the internet and is storing vital information of that system. For an example, in your college, you must be having one particular system particularly for you, and you must be giving some username or password for it, right? Why? That password and that username is not to open the system, right? That is not to lock or unlock the system. That is basically to use your server. Server is having the password and username for that system. You're using that password and username to get inside the server to work upon it, right? So those kind of vital information server keeps and store. So when you hit www.youtube.com, this request goes to the server, right? This server processes this information that the particular person is requesting for www.youtube.com. Once that request is approved, this gives the response. What does response mean? Response means all the web page, the youtube.com, the first home page comes here. Okay, comes here and you can see it. But we need to create that web page. Once we create that web page, let's say that we have created the home page of youtube.com. Where should we store it? We can't store it in our system, right? Because that is not our server. And the response is coming from the server, right? So do you think that we have to keep the web page in our server? Yes, we need to keep this web page, the web page which we have created. Let's name it as yt.webpage. This web page which we have created in our system, we have to keep this in our server so that server can respond back with this web page and the user can see it. Cool, understood? Now this web page will have some data. It will have some data, right? What kind of data? Let's say that if you have your YouTube account, when you listen to some songs, right, YouTube automatically suggests some more interesting songs just like what you have searched for, right? And then tomorrow when you open youtube.com, it will suggest more videos or more songs similar to that. How does this happen? YouTube runs an algorithm in which they understand that what are your likings. If you like pop music, it will keep on suggesting you pop music. If you like rap music, it will keep on suggesting you rap music, right? That's a different algorithm. That's a different thing. That's a different concept. But can we say that there's a data included? Yes, all the videos are data, right? All the videos, whatever is coming and going and whatever is happening is all nothing but data. Even if you have a YouTube channel, if you are putting a content in the YouTube, just like what we are doing right now, that is also a data. Where are these data getting stored? We have created the web page. We stored the web page inside the server, but that is only the web page. We are not storing the data, right? Now, what about the data? So we have something called as database. Okay, this is, let's name it as DB, right? Now, what is this DB? This is a database. Database means, let's say that this video which you're watching is a data, but a combination of all different kinds of videos is a database, right? So if I talk about this pen, this is the data. But if I have pen, laptop, mobile, power bank, mic, everything, then that's a database. Okay, so a lot more of quantity, that's a database. One particular individual thing, that's the data. So this database, why am I naming it as database? Because it contains a lot of data. A lot of data is included here, right? What kind of data? If I'm talking about youtube.com, all my videos, all the data of YouTube is here in this database. Okay, so if this server is sending me the web page is empty. I have created the web page without the data, correct? So from where the data will come? From here, right? But there's no connection here, right? How can it jump? It can't jump, right? How can I connect these two? That's where the term architecture comes in, right? So what is this architecture? Architecture is something like, let's say that you have to buy a home, right? You can't just go and directly buy a home, or if you want to build a home, right? When you want to build a home, you can't just say that, hey builder, can you build a home for me? No, right? You must be having some interest of yours. You must be thinking that, okay, this kitchen place should be much more bigger than I'm expecting, and the bedroom should be like this, the hall room should be like this, I should not use TV, I should use the projector. All those things will come up in your mind, And that's how you actually design your home. You have a blueprint, you have a paper where you actually draw all your things, all your concept, how you want to bring your kitchen or your bedroom or your washroom, where you want all these things to be in your home. Correct? Once that is done, then the builder will start designing or developing it. Correct? Same thing we are doing here. We have an architecture. We plan an architecture of web development that, okay, from here, it should go here and then should go here, then should come back, and then we will be able to get our web page. Okay. We will move to the architecture now. We will discuss more about architecture, but now let's come back to the question which I asked you, whether you should learn all the languages whichever are there, or you want to just directly jump into the one particular language. Let's not discuss about this right now, what we are discussing here. We'll move into the architecture directly, but right now let's understand this question which I'm asking. Most of you will say that we will move into the first language, which is C language, right? Once we have an understanding of C language with a very basic syntax, with a very simple things in C language, we'll move to C++. Then we will move from C++ to Java. We'll try to create some projects in C, we'll try to create some projects in C++, we'll try to create some projects in Java, and then we'll move to Python. And then we'll create some projects in Python. And then we'll get a job in Python, and then we will build our career on that. Correct? Okay. Once you're building your career on Python, what is the use of C, C++, Java? Right? No use. Okay. But what is happening here? So basically, what I have done, I learned C, I understood some concepts, the very beginner concepts. Like I was not even any idea what is a variable, what is conditional statements, what are loops, nothing. Started from C. C++, most of the things were covered in C, so I understood it very easily. Some new concepts were there in C++, that's fine. I took some 15 days and I understood it. Java is totally a different thing in syntax, but the concepts are same of C++. Oops concept is same. So syntax, while writing, practicing, I understood it. Python, much more easier, no relation with C, C++, Java. Concepts are same, but really very easy and can be understood in a better way when you learn it individually. So in that case, what I have done, started from C, C++, Java and Python, I have wasted my one total year in that, because 1 year I have understood C, C++ and Java, and at last I was in Python. Correct? So there's a waste of 1 year, because I can move directly to Python and I can understand that language very easily within 15 days. 1 year and 15 days, you can understand the difference, right? And once you do Python, once you master Python in 2 months, you'll be able to get any job. Let it be data scientist, let it be data analyst, let it be Python developer, let it be a web developer, right? Any of these jobs. Now what I'm saying is, if you're a fresher, if you don't have any idea which language to go on, don't worry, just go and dive into Python. Okay, if you're not interested in Python, select some other language like Java or C++, but stick into it. If you love that language, stick into that. If you think I should take risk, I know Python is easy, but I want to learn more, go ahead with Java. Java will make you learn a lot of concepts in a very easy manner, okay, but in a very difficult perspective. The syntax are difficult, the concepts are difficult there, but you'll be able to gain a much amount of knowledge so that you can create a Android application or something like that. Okay. So this is the fact. If you're not liking Python, Java, C and C++, all 4 of them, then what? You have other languages. You have R programming, you have Ruby, you have PHP, you have other languages as well. Try to understand that. Now, let's say that I am telling it to you that, hey, you learn Python. You went today at night and you opened Python tutorial, started learning about it. You got to know that I don't have interest in this. I'm not liking this particular thing, or this Python particular syntax. I'm not fond of this particular thing. Then try to find out what you are capable of. Whether you want to go to designing or structuring a web page, which is nothing but called as UI and UX, where Python is not there. UI and UX is mostly into designing, or it's giving a structure to the web page, okay, making it more beautiful. If you're much more creative, go in that field. What if you are into a data, you want to work only with data, you want to understand that how these multiple and million billions of data, how can I control it, how can I manage this particular million billion and trillions of data only by me? So go to SQL language or go to database languages in that field, right? And if you want to learn Python, then we stick to backend languages, right? Okay, so let's not confuse you. If you're a beginner, go ahead and learn Python. If you're not interested in Python, go ahead and do some other things like UI UX or some other data analyst kind of thing. And choose your field first, right? Choose your field, which particular field you want to go on. Web development, front-end development, back-end development, UI UX design. You want to become a designer, you want to become a content designer, you want to become a data analyst, or database admin. What do you want to become? Find that and then move to choose any language. Don't just move and choose whatever language is getting taught in your college. C language is there and you're learning C language the whole in your career. What if C language is not used later on, right? So that is the fact. Do that. One more thing and then we'll move into the architecture. One more thing is nothing but how you will start learning those languages. Okay, how you will start building, or how you will interest on those particular languages. Okay, so first of all, let's say how I did it. So my interest was on web development. Okay, I started from web development. I learned what all things do we need in web development. We need a lot of languages. I'm going to discuss that. We need a lot of languages, but the very first thing which we need is HTML. So I started learning with HTML. I did not jump to any in-between topic or in-between framework. Started with the very basic, which is HTML. CSS, JavaScript, and blah, blah, it goes on. That is how you need to choose. You have to first choose the domain in which you want to work. If you want to work in data analyst, start working with Python and MySQL. If you want to work with UI UX, start working with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. If you want to work with backend, take one backend language, start building its own product, and learn its frameworks. That is how you're going to decide which particular language you want to work upon. You think that you want to become a data analyst, but you are learning HTML, CSS. It's a total waste of time, right? Okay, great. I'll keep on discussing these fun facts or very important facts in IT industries in between in all of my videos, so that you will get interested and you will get attached to me, that okay, something other than the agenda videos we are able to get it, right? Some other information we are able to receive. So let's get started. Let's move to the next part, which is our web development architecture. Let's understand this. So if we remember, I have drawn those three boxes in front of you, right? We're having three boxes. Let me draw that. So here we were having the server, and then we were having the database. Okay. Okay. And this is nothing but our system. This is our system, right? So here, if I am requesting youtube.com, this youtube.com, when I hit enter, the request goes to the server. This server says that, okay, user is wanting youtube.com, so I should give it to them. But I only have the web page. I only have the web page. I don't have the content. I don't have the data. So if I give only the web page, user will not be able to get anything. User will not be happy about it. So why shouldn't I request database to provide the data of it? So from the database will think, okay, user is requesting, user and server both are requesting youtube.com. So whether I have the data of it or not, I have the data of it. Let's give it back to the server. So the data comes back to the server. Server is now having the web page with its data, and now it is having everything what it needs to satisfy the user. So it sends back it to the user. This whole process is nothing but called as web development architecture. Okay, but this web development architecture needs some terminologies, right? It needs some words for you to understand these three things. So this is what is called as client. We are the client, this is the server, and this is the database. These three terms are very, very important. Now, once you can see your youtube.com, you'll be able to use it, right? The thing is, you're only able to use youtube.com. You're only able to see the web page. You're not able to see what is happening in the backend. You're not able to see these whole thing. What is happening here, you're not being able to see any of these things. Also, these all things are happening in just nanoseconds. You are hitting enter and you're able to get the YouTube page, right? How is it happening? Because of internet, that is for sure. And how these things are unique and why only I can see this particular portion, why I can't see the backend? Because backend is not important for me. If I am a user, I have no knowledge of web development, I have no knowledge what is this website, how is it working. I just want to purchase one t-shirt for me. I'll go to Myntra.com, I will log in into my account, I will order one t-shirt, that's it. I don't care about whether the web page is coming or not, how it is coming, from where it is coming. I don't care, right? The user only have the accessibility to this particular portion, which is the front portion, and that is why it is called as front end. Why it is called as front end? Because user is watching it, we are in front of it, and we are making sure that we will be able to see the web page. Once the user likes the web page, then he'll be able to use it again and again, right? That is what is the front end. That means this whole thing is the backend, because user can't see any of these things, right? So this is the backend. So now we got to know that we have two things. One is front end and one is backend, right? Now this backend is again divided into two parts, right? What are these two parts? Let's see. So this backend is now divided into two parts. Let's understand what are these two parts. So we have the server and we have the database, right? So we have two things. We have the server, we have the database. The server will make sure all the request response is happening. Database will make sure that it is keeping all the data very securely, right? Okay, let's talk about the front end part first. Let's talk about the front end part. In front end part, we want to make sure our web page is looking attractive. It should look attractive, right? Let's write it here. Why attractive? Because people should be able to enjoy your web page. If suppose one of the web page is not very interesting for a user, it's not very user friendly, no user is going to use it, and they will just use it one time, they'll have a look and then leave it. So Myntra, Amazon, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, these all are having some most amazing view or the front web page, which looks very fascinating and amazing. That is why people start using it every day, and they want that, okay, I have a men's section and I can go to men's section, I can go to jeans section, I can go and find denim jeans. How cool is it, right? Suppose that you are creating a web page and you have a section which is pants, and it is showing you all different types of multicolored pants and everything. There's no filter, there's nothing. The user has to scroll down and keep on scrolling to find a denim jean, right? That's a bad experience which user will get. So you have to make sure that the front experience, the front which portion is user is seeing, should be really very attractive, should be user friendly. That is what happens in front end. How do we do it? Which all languages do we use here? So we use HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Okay. If you're a beginner, you will be with me that we need these three things. But it's not only that. There are more languages which require to completely make a particular web page. I will discuss about that. But right now, we need these three things, right? These are very basics. If you don't have the knowledge of these three, then you won't be able to understand any of the other things as well. So we need these three things. Let's move to the server part. In the server part, what do we need? We need some language to tell the web page, to tell the user that, hey user, if you click this button, something will happen. So let's say that I have a username and password, the login page. You have a username and password. You give the username, you give the password. Once you click on login, when you click on login, what happens? Your profile comes in, right? How? Once you click on login, the request goes into the server. Then response comes back. So that's where the backend language comes into picture. So what all languages do we need to know here? Any one language, any one particular programming language. I'm saying programming language. Make a note of it, right? HTML, CSS, and JavaScript is not a programming language. Okay? Python is a programming language. JavaScript is also a programming language, but I'll tell you later on what is the difference. Cool. So this is a Python programming language. Python is not used to create or design a web page or to make it attractive. No. Python is used to work in the backend to make sure that every functionality of the web page is working fine. Okay. What is this database? Database is used to store the information, to store the data. How can we store a data in a table? In a table, we can store it in this format. We can have roll number 1, my name, my age. We can have roll number 2, my name, my age. This is how you can store the data, right? And this is what happens here also. So for data to create, we need a database language. Let's say SQL. This is a database language. SQL is a database language, a query language where we write some queries and we fetch the information from the table which is stored or the data which is stored. So in our hand right now, we have 5 languages: HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Python, and SQL. Right? Now let's talk about the inner depth of these languages or these things, front end and back end. We have understood the web development architecture. This is the architecture which I have shown you. If you want to keep a note of it, you can keep it or you can take a screenshot as well. But now let's move to the depth knowledge of these things. What all things we are going to cover in this course, how we are going to build up everything, and one by one what all things we will cover. So let's begin the discussion with our front-end development. Again, repeating, what is front-end development? What is the front-end languages that I have told you? Front-end development, I have told you HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, right? Let me write it here. HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Remember that it's not Java, it's JavaScript. Okay, it is JavaScript. Now, why do we need HTML? We need HTML to give a design to our web page. Now understand what is design. Okay, I am creating a particular web page here. Have a look what I'm doing. So I'm creating a particular web page. This is the web page. This is the white particular part which I've shown you in the beginning, right? That is this particular page. Now, in this page, you will have several more things, right? What are things you'll have? You'll have a logo here. You'll have a nav bar here where you will have several links here. Maybe home, about us, contact us, login button, right? And then here you will have a banner kind of thing. You'll stick a banner here. And in the banner, you will have one more button. And here all your contents will come. All contents will come, right? So as you can see, this I have designed, right? This is a structure I have given, right? Now to create this structure in a web page, we use HTML. I'm not talking about any color. I'm not talking about any thing which makes it attractive. No, just the design. Just like how you arrange a table. If you have a table, you'll keep your mic in one place, your keyboard at one place in the center, mouse on the right, and then an extra screen on your left or your right. Correct? That is how you assemble your table. That is how you design your table. That's the same way how we design our web page. Every web page is having different designs. We need to understand, we need to bring our creative minds that how we can make our design so much attractive that people will enjoy it. Let's come to the CSS. If design is totally done via HTML, then what does CSS do? CSS does the styling. So what is the styling? Now, this logo is just placed there, right? What if I want this logo to be in an oval shape or in a rectangle shape? What if I want this logo color to be changed? What if I want this particular web page, whole web page to be in black in color? And I want this banner to be in multicolor. I want this content to be in white in color so that the web page looks more attractive. If your web page is not looking attractive, it is not having colors, many people will not willing to open your particular website because there are other websites which will be having more amazing colors and beautiful appearance, but your web page will not have. So you should use CSS to provide those alignment, those borders, those colors, those spaces, everything, right? It should not look like that anybody can create this. Okay, so you have to create such a particular web page which can be created in a very unique way and should look very amazing. Next comes our JavaScript. What is this? This JavaScript is basically to give the behavior to the web page. What is this behavior? Let me give you an example. Let me talk about me. What is my behavior? I am a trainer. I teach people. I educate people. So that is my behavior. When I eat it with my mouth full open. Maybe when you are eating, you eat it with your mouth full closed, right? That is your behavior. So what is this behavior? Behavior is something which we do, right? So what this web page will do? This web page is for what? Let's say that this web page is for clothing store. It's a clothing store web page, right? So what is the behavior of this web page? So if you click on this banner button, it will take you to the clothing store where you can find your clothes and you can add it to the cart. That is the behavior. JavaScript makes sure that those behavior works. That means the buttons should be working now. The links should be working now. The calculations or the anything which requires buttons, right? Which requires a click or which requires something to happen, an event, right? We call it as an event. When we speak or when we eat, we are doing an event, right? So if your web page is also doing an event, that is happening because of JavaScript, right? Okay, so we have understood how to design a web page, we have understood how to style the web page, and we've understood how to give a behavior to the web page. Is that it? Like if you talk about facebook.com, we have designed the web page. We have one section where the chats are going on. We have one section where my profile page is there, and in between we have the content. Design is done. What is CSS? Styling. Styling means we have given a blue and a white color to the whole Facebook page, and the chat can be scrolled, and we have a beautiful alignment to all my Facebook page. That is what is nothing but your styling. We have made our web page attractive. That is what is styling, right? So CSS is also done. JavaScript. I have to log into my Facebook page. So I'll click on login. I'll give my username and password. I'll click on login again. And JavaScript will make sure that once you click on login, your web page comes in. So I think this is also done. My web page is behaving. If I open my online chat option, then my online chat option is also opening. So my web page is behaving, right? But don't you think that when we talk about JavaScript, our web page should do a lot more tasks and not just clicking? It should do a lot more tasks, right? For an example, you must have seen that in Myntra.com or in any e-commerce or online websites where you purchase something, right? You can see there are a lot of things. They have filters. They have an option of sorting your content or sorting your products with popularity or discount, higher discount, low price, high price. More other features like you can have a page bar where you go to second page, you have a list of products, third page, more list of products. Also, you have some banners which you can scroll and you can go to those banners. You have some more features like a sale is going on and you want to apply a coupon. So once you add to the cart, in the cart page, the coupons get applied automatically, right? Also, let's talk about some more features. Once you search for denim jeans, if you scroll down to the last, you can see that in Amazon also, more denim websites or more denim shirts or pants will be suggesting for you. How this is happening? How a website will be able to know that I want a denim jeans because I've just searched it once? How is it showing me all my requested or what I want? It is showing me everything. Those things. Also, once you click on add to cart, it gets added to the cart. But once you click on buy now, it takes you to the cart. Right? Amazing, right? So all these different features, don't you think that it requires something more than HTML, CSS, and JS? Do you think only learning HTML, CSS, and JavaScript will help, or will complete my web development knowledge? I don't think so. So let's understand what is that. See, all these things which I've told you, the cart and all these all things, these all are behavior. Yes or no? These all are behavior, right? When you're moving into second page, you're clicking as a behavior. If you're clicking to add to cart or buy now, you are doing behavior. The web page is behaving. So that means we have to still do a lot of experiment on JavaScript, using JavaScript. So JavaScript is having some frameworks and libraries. Now these frameworks and libraries make sure that your web page behavior will happen much more beautifully and the web page will look much more attractive. Okay, so in this we have Angular, Vue, React, right? We have several more, but these are most famous ones, and the most famous one is React. So we'll be learning Angular, we'll be learning Vue, we'll be learning React, we'll be seeing how you can use these frameworks and libraries to make all those beautiful behavioral things in your web page. Once that is done, you will be able to create a full-fledged web page using these particular languages knowledge, right? So this was all about front-end development. Trust me, this is only for front-end development. You have some more things. I have not talked about backend. I have not talked about Python, Java, C, or SQL, or any such things, right? We have a lot of things which is pending here, which is backend, server, database. So why we are not discussing this? Because this is not our course right now. Our course is mostly dependent on front-end development right now. We'll talk about that, right? And I hope you know now that what you have to start with. We have to start with HTML. So our next video will be basically on HTML, and we'll try to complete this HTML in a very fast manner, and this whole videos will be available to you. I'll be doing these particular HTML sessions one by one for each video for 1 hour, and you can watch it anytime because these videos will be available in my playlist, which is front end, and you'll be able to understand front-end development first so that you can create a web page. At the end of this course, I'll make sure that you create a full-fledged web page just like Netflix or any such kind of e-commerce websites, any such kind of things, right? Once you do that, you'll be able to get an understanding of web development from scratch to end. Mostly front-end development. Web development is the whole package, right? But right now we are only focusing on front-end development. So that is what we are going to do. So let's get started with HTML. We'll understand in the next video what is this HTML and what all other components are there inside it, how to write it, and how do we actually create our first HTML page. How do we create our first HTML web page? So I hope you like this session. I hope you have understood a lot of things, a lot of insights and facts and myths I have told you. In the next video, again in between, I'll share a lot of other things as well. So stick to this video of mine and hit the like button, share it with your colleagues, or share it with your mates, share it with your friends, share it with your relatives, and tell them that this particular trainer is starting a new course on front end development, and in 1 month or maybe 1.5 months you'll be able to complete everything and you'll be good to go, right? So all the best. Keep watching the video, and bye bye, take care.